The Ohio State Buckeyes used to be known for producing star-level running backs, and while they still do that, they have started to take on a new role as a pipeline for wide receiver talent. Some of that can be put on the shoulders of the receivers coach Brian Hartline, and some of that can be chalked up to the 5-star talents that have invaded Columbus, Ohio. There have been a couple of guys over the last few years, but things have really begun to pick up in the last 2 years. Both Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson were first-round picks in the 2022 NFL Draft, but they may not even be the best receiver from last year's team. I know that's hard to believe, but the subject of today's video not only had the best numbers on the team, but could be a better long-term pro than either of those other two. In today's video, we're obviously be talking about Jaxson Smith Njigba, his journey to this point, what he has done at Ohio State so far, and my expectations for him in the future. But before we can talk about his rise, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. You're not going to want to miss out on any more college football content. If you want to support the channel, be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts, and let me know what topic I could do next. Also, don't forget to turn on post notifications. And now let's get started and talk about the rise of Jaxson Smith Njigba. In order to understand how Jaxson Smith Njigba became the best receiver in college football, we first need to go back in time. To know a little bit more about JSN, he is of Sierra Leone descent, and he grew up in a very athletic family, as his brother actually played baseball for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jaxson lived and breathed football, and people knew for a long time that he was going to be a special player. Before he was even a freshman, JSN was making big plays, as his coach said, quote, "I'll never forget watching him run around catching footballs, and I'm making eye contact with our offensive coordinator from across the field, like what in the world is going on here?" He was good enough to make the varsity roster as a true freshman, and he didn't have a prolific year, as he only caught 8 passes for 105 yards and no touchdowns while playing in 8 games, but no one blamed him. The guy was literally 15 years old. As a junior, JSN would make a name for himself as he became a 5-star player. He finished that season with 95 catches for 1,828 yards and 20 touchdowns during his junior campaign. In one game against Allen, Texas, JSN's stat line was stuff of a legend. 15 catches, 258 yards, 5 touchdowns. Plus, he had another touchdown running the ball. He got better and better and better and blew up on the recruiting scene, and it all peaked his senior year. He caught 104 passes for 2,094 yards and 35 touchdowns. This dude was not human and was making history, but where would he go to school? Well, he eventually chose Ohio State over TCU, Notre Dame, Cal, Arizona State, Colorado, Nebraska, Boston College, Baylor, Virginia, and Nebraska. He had this to say about why he chose Ohio State. Quote, "I committed to Ohio State early because the process can be draining, and I really hate talking on the phone. But that doesn't mean recruiting has stopped. When I visited last November, I swear I could smell the expectation of winning in the air in Columbus. It was a very easy decision for me to commit that weekend. I knew that if I was going to be 16 hours away from home, the school would have to meet the criteria that my parents gave me. I needed to choose a program that could develop me as a wide receiver and as a man. And it had to be one that could compete for a national championship. Plus, my parents wanted it to be close to a major airport. So yes, it seemed like Ohio State was going to be a great fit for JSN, and this was a huge get for Brian Hartline. JSN would end up going down in Texas football history. He finished his career with 5,346 yards and 82 touchdowns while playing in 44 total games. He was 3rd in receiving yards in Texas high school football history, and this translated to high rankings. According to 24/7 Sports, JSN was a 5-star recruit, the number 5 receiver, and the 29th best player in the class of 2020. So going into a loaded program, how would JSN do? Going into his Ohio State career, Ryan Day was obviously the head coach, and Justin Fields would be his quarterback. But it wasn't either of those two who had high praise for him. Chris Olave said, quote, "Jaxson is as good as I've ever seen. Probably the best I've ever seen. Jaxson is the most natural athlete I've ever seen." That is extremely high praise. As he also said, he's a rare talent. He's slippery in the slot, and he has that sneaky speed. He made that jump, especially from year 1 going into year 2, and I can't wait to watch him. So yeah, he talked about how he made a jump, but how did he do as a true freshman? Well, he had a couple moments. In their first game against Nebraska, he caught 2 passes for 5 yards in his first career touchdown, and that is when he had that awesome 1-toe down catch. That was all over highlight reels, but unfortunately the rest of the year wasn't. He caught 1 pass against Penn State, 1 pass against Indiana, 2 against Rutgers, and that is all he did during the regular season. Ohio State would obviously make the college football playoff, and in their win over Clemson, he caught 2 passes for 12 yards. In their loss to Alabama, he caught 2 passes for 20 yards. In total, JSN didn't do a whole lot as a freshman, as he finished with 10 total receptions for 49 yards and a touchdown. Many saw his potential, but would he put it all together in 2021? The answer is yes. Despite having 3 proven targets in Jeremy Ruckert, Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson, JSN would end up becoming the best on the team. After helping them beat Minnesota, he'd go for a career night as he caught 7 passes for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 7-point loss to Oregon. This loss proved to be devastating for the Buckeyes' playoff chances, but this is when JSN just got going. 2 weeks later, he had 5 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown against Akron, had 5 catches for over 100 yards against Maryland, and then 6 catches for 99 yards against Indiana. The Buckeyes were once again rolling, and they had a huge game with number 20 Penn State at home. JSN would go off in this one as well, as he caught 6 passes for 97 yards in that game, and then he had a huge one against Nebraska. In that game, he caught a career-high 15 passes for 240 yards and a touchdown, and helped them beat Nebraska in a close game on the road. This would only be the beginning of how incredibly he finished the year. The following weekend against number 19 Purdue, he caught 9 passes for 139 yards and a score, and then in a crucial victory over number 7 Michigan State, he caught 10 for 105 and a score in that one. Despite him having an incredible game against Michigan, they ended up losing 42-27 on the road against the Wolverines, and his 11 catches for 127 yards were just not enough. Ohio State would go 10-2 in the regular season, and this meant no college football playoff or no Big Ten championship for this group. They would still get an opportunity to play in the Rose Bowl, and this would be a glimpse of the future of Ohio State. Both Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave opted out of the bowl game, so it was just going to be the JSN show. Against number 11 Utah, JSN proved why he's the best receiver going into 2022, and why he should be a top 10 talent in the 23 NFL Draft. In this game, he caught 15 passes for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns. This broke all sorts of records, and it also helped fuel them to a 48-45 victory over number 11 Utah. This Rose Bowl was a thrilling game, and it showed what JSN could do when he was getting most of the targets. He finished the season as an All-American after posting 95 receptions for 1,606 yards and 9 touchdowns. He averaged nearly 17 yards per carry, and it seems he did just about everything. No, he was not the tallest receiver in the world, but he ran great routes, never dropped passes, made big plays, and had that it factor to him. That is why many people believe he is the best receiver going into 2022. Other guys such as Jordan Addison and Josh Downs also make a case, but I don't think either of them are as good as JSN is. He already has decent odds to win the Heisman, is the favorite to win the Biletnikoff, and is probably going to be the first receiver drafted in 2023. But how is he going to do? As the number 1 guy? That is the biggest knock against him, is that the other team's best corner was not always on JSN. They were instead on Olave and Wilson. Now that he will be the crucial target to shut down, will his numbers go up or will his numbers go down? Well, with the kind of numbers he did post last year, I would expect him to go down a little bit, but I don't think his efficiency is going to go down. I still think he'll have 60 plus catches for over 1,000 yards and 10 scores, but now there'll be targets going to guys such as Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming, and Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm really excited to see what JSN is going to do in 2022, as he is my favorite receiver for next year, and he could help the Buckeyes get to a college football playoff appearance and maybe even a national title victory. I think the guy is that good, and I am just super excited to watch him this year. But what do you guys think? If you're an Ohio State fan, how do you think JSN's going to do in 2022? How does he compare to Wilson and Olave? And what's another player or topic or storyline I can take a look at for the 2022 season? Be sure to let me know down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And if you want to support today's video, leave a like, a comment, and check out all the other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.